welcome to my channel on the best of fantasy. These are the weeks that were, are, and shall be. Let's start with the writing front while we're waiting for the special edition by the Broken Binding of The Way of Adan to come to the people who have purchased it in late January, early February. I am also working on the sequel to the Adan trilogy, While Darkness Gathers. This is a story that takes place about 16 years after the trilogy ends. It's a bit of an experiment for me in a way because I am making this a much leaner story. It's a shorter book. It's a leaner book, much shorter chapters. I am not including as much description as I did, not as much exposition as I did in the Adan trilogy. So I'm having fun with it. The finished draft is there, and I am just going over the chapters one at a time, editing away, making a few little tweaks here and there. I love editing, as weird as that sounds to most people probably. I enjoy that part of the writing process probably the most. But anyway, I'm having a grand time, and I expect to be done with my pass probably in a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. At which point I hope to pass it along to my developmental editor, and then I will respond to his remarks, and then we will be on track to have this book out probably by mid-year at the latest. So I'm really happy with how that's going. I actually have a cover I'll be doing when I'm a little more sure of when I'll be putting it out. I'll be having a cover reveal and all that fun stuff that comes with the release of a book. I also want to thank all the lovely readers, just everybody who has picked up a copy of The Way of Adan, The Prophet of Adan, Return to Adan. I am eternally grateful to all of you, and it's been so exciting, such a thrill for me to see many people who have included one of those 3 books in the Adan trilogy in their year-end favorite reads of the year videos that you see popping up here and there still. End of December, early January, you see those. I love that time of year. I love watching people's favorites. But I'm so grateful to really everybody who has even read the books at all. But especially, obviously, it's really thrilling to have somebody include it among their favorite reads of the year. And this includes Patrick Leo and Nikhil Koparkar and Tom Orange, Chance Dillon, Jake from Nerd Level Rising, both Ed and Will from the Brothers Gwyn, Chris from A Reader's Journey, Jeremy Fee, and yeah, I'm sorry if I missed anyone at all, but I'll be staying tuned. I'm very grateful to all of you, really, yeah, it's just a great thing to be able to share the story at all. But the fact that it resonates with some of the readers the way it does is really, that's my greatest dream, is to have readers respond to the story that way. So thank you very, very much. Now, on the channel, I have had a couple episodes of Dear Dr. Fantasy, one with Jake at Nerd Level Rising, and another with Michael from Kronk the Book Guy. And I had a great time talking to each of these wonderful individuals. Jake is just a wonderful, fairly new booktuber out there who's just doing it. He's killing it. He's doing a great job with his channel. Very personable, very well spoken, and just a very pleasant, wonderful human being. Somebody that I have really enjoyed getting to know at the end of last year. And I look to see his channel thrive. He's become a real vital part of our community. And then there's Michael from Kronk the Book Guy. Now, I have no idea why I didn't know about Michael, but I actually first saw him when he was doing an interview with John over at Talking Story. And they were talking about Michael's own trilogy that is coming out soon, and the Immortal Investigations. And this guy is just incredibly articulate and insightful. He's a writer. He's a booktuber. He takes his time really making some real quality videos over at Kronk the Book Guy. Some great reviews. And whether or not you even agree with what Michael says about each of the books and series that he reviews, I think you will have to agree that he is a very insightful and attentive reader. So yeah, I highly recommend checking out his channel, but I had a blast talking to him about indie versus trad publishing and our favorite fantasies and a number of other topics. So yeah, had a good time. And I do have a lot of other episodes to come of Dear Dr. Fantasy. I have some really wonderful people lined up for episodes in January and February, and I'm excited. I'll keep that under wraps for now. Maybe I'll surprise you with who I've got coming, but I'm excited to talk to each and every one of them. And I also had a video about my plans for 2025 that I released fairly recently, and this includes some very ambitious hopes for what I will include in my reads in 2025. I have failed every single year to live up to my plans for X year, but I keep trying, and I have a fun time doing it, and I have some really exciting reads that I'm looking forward to in the year ahead. And I can't wait to see what I actually do accomplish. But I'm happy every year. It's been a great time here on BookTube. And then I also released my best of 2024, another staple of the end of the year here on BookTube. And I had a great time talking about the books that moved me the most, the books that spoke to me, that challenged me intellectually, gave me an emotional journey that stuck with me in one way or another. And those were the reads that I decided to include in my end of year best of 2024 video. So that was fun. Now, in terms of what I am reading, I have actually finished reading the Fishman Island saga from One Piece. And wow, I actually thought when I started it, I was enjoying it. Don't get me wrong. Of course, this is coming off of one of the, I think it's agreed by most One Piece fans that one of the greatest sagas in the entirety of the series is probably the preceding one that I recently finished. Including especially the Marineford arc and the post-war arc. But the Summit War saga as a whole is, I think, for many people, a huge favorite, and for good reason. So any arc or saga that follows from such a feat is naturally, you would think, going to not do as well in comparison. And initially, I kind of felt like with the Fishman Island saga that it was fine. I mean, it was good. I had no complaints. It was really good One Piece. Maybe a little on the nose in terms of some of the big social themes that it was tackling, but I didn't have a strong issue with that. I was just like, okay, this is where Oda's going. By the end of Fishman Island saga, I was like, wow, this is actually really powerful. Oda keeps surprising me in this way that I love, where I think, wait, what are you doing? This is not how you're supposed to tell a story. He keeps breaking the rules, and it ends up being the right thing. It ends up being actually pretty genius, and I just love how he keeps doing that to me. That's like I'm surprised at how well this works. And so I got to the end of Fishman Island, and I was blown away. I really enjoyed it. So I can't wait to share my thoughts. It does take me some time to process a One Piece saga and then get all my thoughts together and then decide which panels I'll be including in the video and all that. It takes me days to make a One Piece video. But that will be coming out fairly soon. And I'm delighted to have read Fishman Island Saga and to be continuing in this incredible series that has really defined me in many ways my 2024. But let's see what comes here, in 2025 with One Piece. And what else am I reading? Well, I actually am on the very last bit of Trader's Knot by Johnny Wirtz, another great read. Just so happy to be in the Wars of Light and Shadow. This is book 7 in the series, 7 of 11 books. And Johnny Wirtz just continues to impress me in new ways as well. I always expect this to be a spiritual experience. I expect it to be beautiful and vast and transformative. But there's a lot of humor in this one, in Trader's Knot as well. The humor's been in the series all along. Sometimes it makes me chuckle. But this is different from what has preceded it in many ways, and I'm looking forward to discussing it with AP Canavan and Joanna when we get together to discuss this. It probably will happen in this month or next at the latest, I would guess. Good stuff here in Trader's Knot. And after I finish that, I'll probably finish that today, and then I will move on to A Sword of Bronze and Ashes by Anna Smith Spark. This is a standalone. Very much looking forward to reading this. And I have heard so many things about her writing, particularly from Ed and Will at the Brothers Gwyn, but also from others who have enjoyed her writing. And this is a lyrical, poetic folk horror fantasy by the Queen of Grimdark. Now, that sounds like something I'm going to enjoy very much. So I will definitely be sharing my thoughts on this one in the future. And then I will be reading, actually, I don't have a cover even to show you or anything because it's an arc. And I'm so excited to be reading Discovery. This is a book that has been lovingly written by Jacob and Amy and John from Talking Story. And like a lot of our other friends around here on BookTube and in our community, I am privileged to be reading an arc of Discovery. And so I will be letting you know how I feel about it as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing what our friends over at Talking Story have come up with on this book that they have collaborated on as a family. And after that, at some point, it's time for me to pick up my SPFBO 10 reads or my Spiff Box reads. I'll probably begin with Mushroom Blues. And I happen to have a copy of this one by Adrian Gibson. I'm excited to read this one. It's gotten a lot of buzz. And I'm excited to read it. Something different. It looks like it's a sort of crime fiction with mushrooms. So I'm really, and of course, I'm sure there's some major fantasy elements in here as well. I'm excited to read this. It seems like it's probably a fairly whimsical and interesting read based on what I've heard. And I also need to finish. By the way, I will be reading other SPFBO reads as well. I haven't decided quite yet the order, but after Mushroom Blues, I will be getting to one or two more in January. And I need to finish this. This looks a lot bigger than it is because there's a massive set of appendices and like a glossary and all kinds of stuff. But this is the last book in the Second Apocalypse series by R. Scott Baker. It is the Unholy Consult. It is also the last book in the second series within the Second Apocalypse series, which is the Aspect Emperor series. This is the book 4 of that series, but book 7 of the Second Apocalypse overall. And I'm really excited to have this under my belt, to have finished this amazing series by R. Scott Baker. And I've been saying all along how bleak it is, but also how brilliant it is. And Baker is just immensely gifted, prodigiously talented author, I must say. His worldview that he explores in here on some level, I think, of, let's say, his view of humanity, rather, is pretty depressing at times, but it also is very compelling in some ways. It is not necessarily a view of humanity that I share, and I like that. I find the series to be challenging, and that's a good thing. That's a very good thing to read a writer who makes you think and who challenges you, and he may very well be right about a lot of these things, but I have a tendency in me to appreciate and want a little bit of hope in my fiction. And there's just not much or any of it in the Second Apocalypse series. It is bleak and grim, and it's not the prettiest picture you'll ever see of humanity, that's for sure. But also the idea that we have zero free will is something that Baker, I think, very articulately explores. He doesn't shove it down your throat, but he definitely does explore it in this series very effectively. I'm very excited to finally see where he ends it. The previous book was crazy, and I expect this one to be even crazier. I've got that's kind of what I'll be reading in the near future. That's the plan anyway. I also have some really fun stuff coming up here on BookTube. I'll be talking with the wonderful P.L. Stewart over at his channel, the Drowned Kingdom Saga. And this will be for his 6 Elementals series. This is where he talks to fellow authors. And it's just a great time. Any time spent with PL is a good time. He's just a wonderful person and great author as well. If you have not checked out A Drowned Kingdom or the Drowned Kingdom Saga or series, I do recommend that you do. I have myself read the first book, A Drowned Kingdom, and loved it. It is so epic, and it reminds me more than any other modern fantasy that I've read, particularly self-published, of the classics of the Aeneid especially. So yeah, it's truly epic. You hear that word used a lot, but in this case, it really does apply. So yeah, I'll be talking with PL. That is on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I'll include I've actually already put out a community post about that, so that's one way to get there. And also coming up this month, I'll be part of TBR Con. This is a online convention that is really cool. There's all kinds of panels that they set up, and I'm going to be moderating one of them. This one is going to be a discussion on writing a successful inciting incident. And I'm excited to talk about the authors who are going to be, talk with the authors rather, who are going to be on this panel. And that includes JDL Rossell, whose book I read last year for Spiffbo 9, and also Rebecca Campbell, and Sung-il Kim, and Jen Lyons, and Evan Winter. That Evan Winter, yes, the author of Rage of Dragons. So I'll be chatting with them on January 20 at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. But check out all the other panels that are available through TBRCon. I mean, there's just some great discussions going on. That is one of many. And I also will be chatting with Chris over at Bearded Book Beast. And he's read The Way of a Dan and reached out to ask if I would have a chat with him. And I'd be delighted, of course, to talk with Chris. Seems like a great fellow. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll announce it as we get closer. All kinds of other things. Like I said, some great DDF episodes, other discussions that I'll be part of that are scheduled, but they're a little further off, and I will be shouting about them as we get closer to the date. So that is what I'm up to. I hope you guys are having some great times with your reads, and I look forward to hearing from you in the comments. Thank you so much for all the interactions, for your support, and for being there and being part of this beautiful community. Until next time.